Have you been forgetting names more often, misplacing your keys, or walking into a room only to forget why you came in? At first, you think it's just age. But deep down, does a part of you wonder if it's something more serious? You're not alone. These small changes in memory, mood, or focus might seem harmless at first, but they could be the early whispers of something deeper. Something that, if ignored, could steal more than just your thoughts. In this video, we're going to explore 10 early signs of dementia that you should never overlook. I'm Dr. James, and today I want to guide you through these signs. Not to frighten you, but to empower you. Because when we understand the truth, we stop being victims of fear and start becoming stewards of our own health. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to recognize these signals, what they really mean, and what steps you can take starting now. You'll feel more in control, more at peace, but I want you to stay with me until the very last sign, because number 10 is the one most people dismiss, and it might just be the most important of all. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video. You can help me continue to spread the positive energy. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like this video, please comment number 1. If you don't like it, comment number 0 to let me know so I can make a better video for you. Now, let's begin. Sign number 1. Your walking is slower and your posture is changing. Have you noticed that your footsteps don't sound the same anymore? That you're not striding but shuffling, dragging your feet like they're carrying the weight of invisible years? This is not just about getting older. It's the brain whispering before it forgets how to shout. Medically speaking, changes in walking speed, stride length, or posture can be among the earliest signs of neurodegeneration. Dementia, especially types like Parkinson's-related or Lewy body, often shows up first in the way we move, not the way we think. Why? Because the same brain circuits responsible for memory also coordinate movement, balance, and muscle tone. When the brain's frontal lobe and basal ganglia start slowing down, your body follows. It's like an orchestra playing out of tune. The music is still there, but the rhythm is off. In real life, this might look like hesitating before walking, leaning forward when standing, or swaying as if you've forgotten which foot comes next. One man I met, 72 years old, told me he felt like he was walking through fog. Not because he was tired, but because something deeper was missing. He had no pain, no injury, just hesitation. That hesitation was his first clue. But here's the good news. Slowness is not the same as helplessness. The moment you notice the shift is also the moment you can take action. Regular physical therapy, balance training, and even dance have been shown to reawaken the brain's motor memory. Early recognition gives you time, and time, when used well, is a gift. From my perspective, I believe the body is a gentle messenger. And when our walk changes, it's not just our legs growing old, it's our brain quietly reaching out. The sooner we listen, the better chance we have to stay independent, upright, and in control. I've seen too many good men wait too long, thinking, it's just age. But it's not always just age. Sometimes it's a call to move before you forget how. Sign number 2. You're becoming more forgetful. But it's not the usual kind. We all forget things sometimes. A name, where we put the keys, or why we walked into a room. But when forgetfulness starts disrupting daily life, when it feels like your thoughts are slipping through your fingers like dry sand, it could be something more. Clinically, one of the most recognized early signs of dementia is short-term memory loss that affects function. This isn't the normal senior moment. It's when you forget conversations that happened 5 minutes ago, miss appointments you've written down, or repeat the same questions without realizing it. It's not just forgetting. It's not remembering that you forgot. This kind of memory loss starts in the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, which is one of the first areas impacted in Alzheimer's disease. I remember a patient, a former math teacher, who could still recall algebra formulas from 40 years ago, but couldn't remember where he parked his car 5 minutes earlier. He laughed it off at first, blaming it on age. But over time, the confusion deepened. It wasn't that his intelligence was fading. It was that his present was slipping quietly away. But here's the hope. If caught early, memory loss doesn't have to be a sentence. Research shows that early cognitive training, better sleep, a Mediterranean-style diet, and social engagement can slow down progression and improve clarity. Memory, like muscle, responds to training, and it's never too late to begin. From my perspective, I see forgetfulness as a red light on the dashboard of the mind. It's not there to scare us, but to signal care is needed. When you start losing track of the moment, it's your brain's gentle way of asking for attention, not pity. And if we respond early with curiosity and compassion, we can keep the light from dimming. Sign number 3. You've lost interest in things you once loved. This one hides in plain sight. You used to love gardening, playing chess, walking with your neighbor after dinner. Now, the tools are untouched, the board gathers dust, and the shoes stay by the door. You tell yourself you're just tired, or that your hobbies don't matter anymore. But a sudden drop in interest, especially in things that once brought you joy, is often an early sign of dementia-related apathy. Medically, this happens when changes in the brain, especially in the frontal lobe and limbic system, reduce motivation, emotional response, and even curiosity. It's not depression, though they can look similar. It's a blunting of internal drive, a quiet shutdown that creeps in unnoticed. People with early-stage dementia may not even realize their loss of interest. They simply stop showing up for life, one small habit at a time. I remember a man named Thomas, 76. He was a die-hard fisherman for decades. Rain or shine, he'd be at the lake by sunrise. One day, he just didn't go. When I asked him why, he shrugged, said he couldn't be bothered. But there was no sadness, no explanation, just a blankness where passion used to live. His wife told me that was the first time she truly worried. But here's the key. Apathy is a symptom, not a verdict. With support, routine, and purposeful activity, many seniors regain their spark. Activities like art, music, light volunteering, even small daily goals can reignite brain circuits that still want to feel alive. From my perspective, I believe joy is a compass. When a man stops pursuing what he once loved, it's not weakness. It's often his brain quietly veering off course. But with guidance, he can still return to the path. Passion doesn't disappear. It waits to be remembered. Sign number 4. You struggle to find the right words, and conversations feel heavier. Have you ever found yourself pausing mid-sentence, not for dramatic effect, but because the word you need has slipped away like a leaf in the wind? You know what you want to say. You can picture it, feel it. But the word itself just won't come. And it's not once in a while, it's often, repeatedly. And it's making simple conversations feel like walking through fog. This is one of the most common early signs of semantic memory disruption, particularly in conditions like Alzheimer's or frontotemporal dementia. The brain's left temporal lobe, which stores language and vocabulary, begins to falter. This results not just in forgotten words, but in hesitations, substituting wrong terms, or getting stuck mid-thought. You might say that thing for cutting food instead of knife, or use vague fillers like stuff or thingy more frequently than before. I once sat with a retired professor, a man who had spent his life lecturing with eloquence. He now struggled to finish a sentence without a long pause. You could see the frustration in his eyes. He hadn't lost his knowledge. He simply couldn't unlock the words to deliver it. It was like the library of his mind still existed, but the doors were jammed. And yet, communication is more than vocabulary. There are tools, visual aids, gestures, slower speech patterns that help bridge this gap, and most importantly, patience and love from those around us. When the words won't come, sometimes a kind gaze or a soft smile can say what language cannot. From my perspective, I believe every man deserves to be heard, even when his voice changes. Losing words doesn't mean losing wisdom. It just means we must listen with more than our ears. If you're struggling to find the right words, remember, you're not alone, and your voice still matters. Sign number 5. You get lost in familiar places, or can't remember why you walked into a room. You're in your own home, a place you've lived for decades. You walk into the kitchen, and suddenly forget why. You reach the front door but hesitate. Where were you going? Or worse, you take a familiar route, a walk you've done hundreds of times, and feel a moment of disorientation. The landmarks are the same, but your internal compass falters. This is more than just distraction. It's a subtle but significant change in the brain's spatial navigation system, controlled largely by the hippocampus, the same structure that governs short-term memory. In early dementia, the hippocampus begins to shrink, literally. As this occurs, the brain starts to lose its internal map. People no longer move through space with the same unconscious ease. Rooms feel disjointed, locations lose their anchors, and routines become riddled with blank spots. One of my patients, Helen, 72, had always taken morning walks around her block. One day, her neighbor found her 2 streets over, confused and trembling. She didn't remember how she got there, or how to get back. It wasn't a dramatic episode. It was quiet, subtle, but deeply unsettling. She said it felt like her world had tilted slightly off-center. These moments are often dismissed. "Oh, I'm just tired." Or, "I must have been thinking about something else." But if they happen regularly, especially in familiar places, they should never be ignored. The earlier we notice, the sooner we can take steps to protect independence, whether through medical evaluation, memory exercises, or simple home modifications. From my perspective, getting lost in your own house is not a failure. It's a quiet cry for help from the mind itself. And hearing that cry early is the first step toward healing. We all forget things, but when your world begins to feel unfamiliar, it's time to pause and gently listen to what your brain is trying to say. Sign number 6, you're easily distracted, and it's hard to stay focused on simple tasks. Have you ever stood in front of the sink, ready to wash the dishes, then walked away mid-task? Not out of laziness, but because something small caught your attention. And before you knew it, you forgot what you were doing in the first place? This isn't just forgetfulness. It's a subtle decline in executive function, the brain's ability to plan, organize, and maintain focus. Think of it like a conductor in an orchestra. When it's strong, everything stays in rhythm. But when that conductor grows tired, the instruments fall out of sync. You might start one task, then hop to another before finishing the first, and suddenly, you're surrounded by half-finished actions and growing frustration. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for attention and decision-making, is particularly sensitive to aging. And in the early stages of dementia, it begins to misfire. This can make it hard to stay focused even on everyday activities like reading, cooking, or holding a conversation without drifting off. I once spoke with a man named Roger, 76, who was a meticulous carpenter all his life. One day he forgot to finish tightening the screws on a wooden chair, something he would never have overlooked. When I asked him what happened, he said he got distracted by the sound of the radio, and then simply forgot he hadn't finished. "It's like my brain changes the channel without asking me," he said quietly. These kinds of lapses may seem small, even humorous at times, but they add up, and they affect confidence. People begin to question their abilities, and that self-doubt can do more damage than the memory lapse itself. From my perspective, distraction is not a sign of weakness. It's a signal. A message from your brain that it's time to slow down, simplify your routines, and treat your attention span like a candle in the wind, gently protected, not pushed. If your mind feels scattered, don't shame yourself. Just notice it, respect it, and make space for calm and structure in your day. Sign number 7, you struggle to find the right words, even for simple things. You know exactly what you want to say. The image is clear in your mind. But when you open your mouth, the words hesitate. You might call a microwave a thingy or refer to the TV remote as that button stick. You laugh it off, but deep down, something doesn't feel right. This is called anomia, and it's one of the earliest and most telling signs of cognitive decline. It happens when the pathways between thought and speech begin to fray. The brain knows the object, knows the idea, but the connection to the label, the actual word, is delayed, or sometimes lost altogether. Neurologically, this stems from degradation in the left temporal lobe, the part of the brain responsible for language and naming. In early dementia, that area may shrink or lose connectivity, making conversation slower, more frustrating, or harder to follow. You might pause more often, struggle to finish sentences, or repeat yourself without realizing. One woman I knew, Clara, 81, told me how embarrassed she felt when she forgot the word for banana while grocery shopping. She circled the produce section 3 times, feeling tears welling up, until she pointed and said, "Those yellow things." A moment like that may seem small, but it can shatter someone's sense of self, especially for those who've spent a lifetime with sharp words and quick wit. And yet, it's important to know that this symptom doesn't mean you're broken. It means your brain is working harder to keep up, and that's not a failure. It's a call for support, patience, and adaptation. From my perspective, forgetting a word is not the end of clarity. It's just a bend in the road. If your speech slows, let your breath slow with it. If your words stumble, let your heart speak instead. Language may change with age, but your voice, your essence, is still very much alive. So speak gently, speak often, and don't be afraid to ask for a moment when the words don't come right away. Sign number 8. You withdraw from social activities, even ones you used to love. You used to enjoy those Sunday lunches, the coffee shop chats, the laughter over old stories. But now, something's changed. The invitations still come, but you often say no. Maybe you tell yourself you're just tired, or the weather's not great, or you'll go next time. But deep down, you're not sure why it feels so hard to show up. This quiet withdrawal from social life isn't just about getting older. It can be an early sign of cognitive decline. When the brain begins to struggle with memory, attention, or word finding, social situations that once felt joyful can suddenly feel overwhelming. You may worry about forgetting names, losing track of conversations, or feeling embarrassed when your mind blanks mid-sentence. From a neurological standpoint, this retreat is often linked to changes in the frontal lobe and limbic system, areas that help manage social interaction, motivation, and emotional regulation. When these systems start to underperform, even minor gatherings can feel emotionally exhausting or mentally taxing. One gentleman named Harold, 73, confided that he stopped going to his weekly card game, not because he didn't love it, but because he kept forgetting the rules and felt he was slowing everyone down. "It was easier to just stay home," he said. But easier doesn't always mean better. This kind of isolation creates a vicious cycle. The less you engage, the less stimulation your brain receives. And the less stimulation you get, the more cognitive abilities can decline. It becomes a slow fade, not into darkness, but into silence. But here's my personal reflection. Withdrawing doesn't mean you've given up. It means your world is asking for a gentler rhythm. So instead of pushing yourself into crowded spaces, start small. Call a friend for 5 minutes, sit on a bench, and smile at a passerby. Join a quiet class or walk with someone you trust. You don't need to be loud to stay connected. You just need to stay open. Connection isn't about performance. It's about presence. And even in the softest moments of human interaction, healing begins. Sign number 9. You frequently misplace things and can't retrace your steps. You put your glasses on the kitchen counter, or was it the bedroom dresser? Minutes later, you're searching every room in the house, retracing steps you can't quite remember. It's not just about forgetting where something is. It's the unsettling feeling of being unable to backtrack, as if your own mind is hiding the breadcrumbs. This behavior might seem harmless at first, even humorous. But when it begins to happen often, and more importantly, when you can't figure out how the object got lost, it may be a deeper sign of memory trouble. Medically, this links to early degeneration in the hippocampus, the brain's memory navigator. This area helps form new memories and connects them to time and place. In the early stages of dementia, these pathways weaken, making it harder to create a reliable mental map of your day, and so you may begin to misplace keys in the refrigerator, shoes in the pantry, or a phone in the laundry basket. Not because you're careless, but because the memory of the action, the placement, was never stored properly. The moment happened, but it wasn't truly recorded. A woman named Ellen once told me that she lost her wedding ring in a jar of rice. I was trying to dry my phone, she explained, and I guess I took it off and forgot. She didn't even remember opening the jar. It wasn't the forgetfulness that frightened her. It was the blank space where a memory should have been. Here's my own reflection. Losing items doesn't mean you're losing yourself. It simply means the brain's rhythm is changing, asking for more care, more patience, more grounding. When you find yourself searching, don't panic. Pause. Breathe. Speak kindly to your mind, even if it's lagging behind. Try building gentle habits, placing essentials in the same spot, using labels or reminders, or asking a loved one to help you stay oriented. This isn't giving in. It's growing wiser in how you adapt. A misplaced object is not a sign of weakness. It's a signal, one that says, slow down. Be present. You're still here. Sign number 10. You experience sudden mood or personality changes. You were always easygoing, patient, gentle, the type to laugh things off, but lately, even small things seem to set you off. A misplaced remote brings out frustration. A forgotten appointment leads to tears. Your family notices. Maybe you do too. When mood or personality begins to shift unexpectedly, not just once, but repeatedly, it can be a quiet whisper of something deeper going on in the brain. These changes often stem from disruptions in the frontal lobe, the region responsible for judgment, impulse control, and emotional balance. When dementia begins to affect this area, you may notice yourself becoming more irritable, withdrawn, suspicious, or emotionally reactive, even if you don't fully understand why. I once met a man named Gerald, a retired school teacher known for his warmth. His wife told me, it was like someone flipped a switch. He got angry at a neighbor over the garden hose and slammed the door. That wasn't him. She said it softly, holding her hands together as if she was still trying to hold on to the version of him she knew. That's the part no one tells you. Dementia doesn't just touch memory, it touches identity. And that's what makes it so hard. But here's my reflection. If you or someone you love is changing in ways that feel confusing or unfamiliar, please know. It's not about fault, it's about the brain asking for help. Mood changes are a signal, not a sentence. And the earlier we notice them, the more we can respond with compassion, not fear. Talk to a doctor. Write down what you observe. Ask a trusted friend. Have you noticed something different in me? Sometimes the smallest moments, a tear that falls too easily, a laugh that feels hollow, are the body's way of waving a flag before the storm. And here's the hope. You are still you. Even when emotions feel unpredictable, even when the light flickers. At your core, your story remains intact. It may ask for more support now. It may need patience, tools, and care. But the essence of who you are, your kindness, your memories, your love, cannot be erased, only protected. Thank you for being here with me today. We've just walked through 10 early signs of dementia. Not to scare you, but to offer you clarity, courage, and choice. You see, when we talk openly about what's changing, in our minds, our bodies, our hearts, we take back a little power that fear tries to steal. And that power becomes peace. Maybe you saw one of these signs in yourself. Maybe you saw it in someone you love. If so, please don't panic. Don't hide. Speak, ask, get curious. Because the earlier we notice, the earlier we can nurture. These signs aren't predictions of doom. They're invitations. To listen more deeply, to care more gently, and to remember that aging is not a breakdown. It's a transformation. You are not fading, you are becoming. So I ask you, what have you learned today? Which sign felt closest to your story? Leave a comment below and let me know what spoke to you. Your words might help another man feel less alone. If you're still watching, write, I'm still listening. That one small line builds a bridge in a world where so many older men feel isolated and unheard. And if this message brought you peace, hope, or even a quiet moment of reflection, please like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the channel, because every man deserves to age with dignity, with understanding, and with a voice that still matters. I'm Dr. James, and I'll see you in the next video.